This burly chest, hairy, crazy hair, almost non-tattooed version Post Malone looking fellow right here being Brooks Jensen reminds me of a couple of different people that we've seen inside the WWE, and I think he's finally starting to find his niche as a character. But as always, if you like the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below, what are your feelings about Brooks Jensen? Do you dig his character? Do you like what they're doing with him? Or do you care less about him? When Josh Briggs, Fallon Henley, and Jensen separated, Jensen was the one that struggled the most. He had no character. He had nothing that would draw your eyes to him, and I was actually concerned he was going to get released. But they've kind of dove into it and played into it so much to the fact now that they kind of have went that direction of he didn't know who he was, he didn't know what to do, he don't know why he wasn't having success, why he's being overlooked, why people don't care about him, yada yada, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Briggs was blowing up. Henley was finding her spot inside the NXT roster. And now what they've done with Brooks Jensen, I can only compare it to that of maybe what Mick Foley did as Cactus Jack in ECW. Now, I'm going to make this very clear. I only know about Cactus Jack in the ECW days based on documentaries and what people have said. I never sat and watched the transformation happen. So for those who was in that time that watched the transformation in ECW for Mick Foley into Cactus Jack, this is your moment to shine. Educate your boy. Educate those who's watching this video of, am I right? Am I somewhat right? Am I completely missing that? And the other person that he reminds me of is Dean Ambrose, when he now known as Jon Moxley in AEW, which really he's Jon Moxley inside the NXT roster. That's kind of how I compare him to. He's crazy. You don't know what he's going to do from one moment to the next. You can't trust him. He don't care about his physical appearance. He's going out there wrestling mismatched Converse. He just looks like the guy you go into a bar and he's sitting there just drinking. He looks like the town drunk. That's what Jensen reminds me of. And I like what they're doing with him. I like the fact that Shawn Spears is getting somewhat involved and kind of manipulating his mind, because you're showing how easily manipulated he is. He's so worried about fitting in and so worried about having a spot, so worried about having a job and being accepted that he is ultimately, in a way, costing himself the job. So this character development with Jensen has actually been a very good and phenomenal story development in who he is. And this is my opinion. And I cannot wait until I see more of what they do with him and how his character progresses. And if I was him, I would look at Dean Ambrose stuff. I would look at Cactus Jack stuff. I'm sure he is, but I would watch how Jon Moxley does things in AEW. I mean, there's a lot of different things that he could do if he watches these guys. Watch Mankind, even. Though he ain't got the mask and he ain't eating his hair, but he looks like he could. You know, so hats off to NXT and Brooks Jensen really diving into this character, because look at that. You tell me it ain't working.